The morning sun had barely risen when Lovett sat on the edge of her bed, holding her NYSC posting letter with trembling fingers. Her mother stood by the door, arms folded tightly across her chest. "Read it again," her mother said. Love is swallowed. "I've read it 3 times, Mama." "Read it again." Her voice was not calm. It carried fear. Lovett looked down at the paper again. "You have been posted to Gantoro local government." Silence. The kind of silence that made the room feel smaller. Her younger brother, Chidi, who had been pretending not to listen, suddenly spoke.
"Gantoro, that place where people they talk about."
Keep quiet!
"Gantoro, that place where people they talk about?" Their mother shot him a look. "Keep quiet." But it was too late. The tension had already filled the room. Lovett forced a small smile. "It's just a place. Every place has rumors." Her mother walked closer. "No, not this one." Lovett looked up. "You've heard something?" she asked quietly. Her mother hesitated. Then she said something that made Lovett's chest tighten. "People don't talk too much about that place because the ones who go there, they don't come back the same." Later that afternoon, Lovett visited her friend Kemi. The moment she mentioned Gantoro, Kemi froze. "You are joking." I wish I was. Kemi stood up immediately. "My cousin served there 2 years ago." Lovett leaned forward and Kemi hesitated. Then she lowered her voice. He said,
"There are rules there, not government rules, not NYSC rules, their own rules."
"There are rules there, not government rules, not NYSC rules, their own rules." Lovett frowned. "What kind of rules?"
What kind of rules? He didn't explain everything, but he said one thing clearly. If you go there, don't argue with them. Don't question anything.
Kemi shook her head slowly. He didn't explain everything, but he said one thing clearly. She paused. "If you go there, don't argue with them. Don't question anything." Lovett laughed nervously.
You know me. I can't keep quiet if something is wrong.
"You know me. I can't keep quiet if something is wrong." Kemi grabbed her hand immediately. "I'm serious, Lovett." Her voice was sharp now. "My cousin said, the last girl who spoke against them, something happened to her." Lovett's smile faded. "What happened?" Kemi looked away. "They said she offended their tradition." And Kemi's voice dropped to almost a whisper. She didn't last long after that. The bus was filled with corps members. Some were chatting, some were quiet. Lovett sat by the window, staring outside. A boy beside her sighed loudly. "I swear, this NYSC Nagambo." A few people laughed, but not Lovett. She was thinking about everything she had heard. Then people behind her said, "Who here is going to Gantoro?" Silence. Slowly, a few hands went up. Lovett raised hers. A girl across the aisles shook her head. "God help us." A guy in front turned around. "I heard they don't like people who talk too much there." Another added, "They don't like outsiders who try to change things." Lovett frowned. What if something is wrong? Are we supposed to ignore it? The bus went quiet. One girl looked straight at her and said, "Yes."
This is it. We're finally heading to Gantoro.
When they arrived, the air felt different, heavy, still. The houses were made of mud, no electricity poles, No noise, just silence. Lovett stepped down from the bus slowly. This can't be real, she whispered. A man approached them, tall, expressionless. You are the new corps members. Nobody replied. He continued, you are welcome to Gantoro. Then he added something that made everyone uncomfortable.
In this place, we respect our traditions. Anyone who does not will face consequences.
In this place, we respect our traditions. He looked directly at Lovett. Anyone who does not will face the consequences. Lovett resumed at her PPA, a small village school. The children were quiet, too quiet. During class, she noticed something strange. A boy answered a question wrongly. Another student whispered the correct answer. Lovett smiled. Good.
You can help each other.
Help each other. Immediately, the class froze. The boy who spoke lowered his head. The teacher beside her quickly intervened. No, we don't do that here. Lovett frowned. What do you mean? The teacher forced a smile. We follow our system. After class, Lovett asked,
Why
are the students so afraid? The teacher looked around before answering. You are new. Just observe. That's not an answer. The teacher's voice dropped. Please, don't start asking too many questions. That evening, Lovett saw something that changed everything. A crowd had gathered in the village square. Men, women, children, all standing in silence. In the center was a young man, tied, his head bowed. Lovett's heart began to race. What is happening? He asked someone beside her. The woman replied calmly. He spoke against the elders. Lovett blinked. That's why? The woman nodded. He broke the rule. Lovett felt anger rising inside her. This is wrong. The woman turned to her slowly. Lower your voice. Lovett stepped forward. This is not justice. Someone grabbed her hand tightly. It was her colleague Tunde. Are you mad? He whispered harshly. Do you want to get yourself into trouble? Lovett pulled her hand away. So, we should just watch? Tunde didn't reply, because at that moment, the entire crowd spoke in one voice. Tradition must be respected. Lovett stood frozen, her heart pounding, her beliefs shaking. But one thing was certain, she could not stay silent. That night, Lovett couldn't sleep. She sat outside her small room, staring into the darkness. Her mind replayed everything. The silence, the fear, the obedience. This is wrong, she whispered. Behind her, a voice replied, Then leave. She turned. It was an elderly woman. You are not from here. The woman continued. You still have a chance. Lovett shook her head. And leave them like this? The woman looked at her carefully. You are brave. Then she added, but bravery here is dangerous. The next day, Lovett did something no one expected. During class, she spoke openly. You are allowed to think, she told the students. You are allowed to ask questions. The students looked terrified. You don't have to be afraid. Outside the classroom, someone was listening. The sun had barely climbed into the sky when whispers began to spread across Gantoro. They heard her. She spoke in class. She is teaching them to question. Lovett didn't know. Not yet. She stood in front of the class again that morning, trying to act normal. Open your books, she said gently. The students obeyed, but something was different. No one looked at her, not even the bold ones from the day before. It was as if an invisible wall had suddenly been built between her and them. Lovett frowned. Is something wrong? Silence. She stepped closer to a girl in the front row. You can talk to me. The girl's lips trembled slightly, but before she could say anything, a voice came from the door. Miss Lovett. Lovett turned. The headmaster stood there. His face was calm. Too calm. Please come with me. The walk to the office felt longer than usual. No one spoke. Even the birds outside seemed quiet. When they entered, the headmaster closed the door slowly. He didn't sit. He just stood there, staring at her. Lovett tried to smile. Sir, is everything okay? He finally spoke.
What did you tell the students yesterday?
I told them to think for themselves.
That is not the curriculum.
But it's the truth.
What did you tell the students yesterday? Lovett hesitated. I just encouraged them to think for themselves. The headmaster nodded slowly. Yes, that is what I heard. Something about the way he said it made her uneasy. That's not a bad thing, she added quickly. The headmaster walked to the window,
Not wrong.
looked outside, then said quietly, in Gantoro, it is. Lovett's heart skipped. I don't understand. He turned back to her. You don't need to understand. You only need to obey. Lovett felt something rise inside her. That same resistance. That's not how education works, sir. Silence. Heavy silence. Then he said something that made the air in the room feel cold.
You were not sent here to change anything. Keep your opinions to yourself.
You were not sent here to change anything. After a long pause, the headmaster's tone changed, softer, but more dangerous. I will advise you, as someone who has lived here for many years,
Keep your
opinions to yourself. He stepped closer. Do your work. Teach what you are told to teach. And go back to your room. Lovett swallowed.
If I
And if I don't? The question came out before she could stop herself. The headmaster didn't answer immediately. He simply looked at her, then said,
Then
you will learn
hard way.
the hard way. When Lovett stepped out, the sun felt hotter, the air heavier. Tunde was waiting for her. He rushed over immediately.
What did he say?
They're all scared for nothing.
What did he say?
Did he say?
Lovett shook her head.
All scared.
They are all the same. Everyone is scared for no reason. Tunde looked around quickly before speaking.
Lower.
Lower your voice. Why? She snapped. What exactly are we afraid of? Tunde's expression changed. This is not Lagos. This is not school anymore. These people don't joke with their traditions. Lovett folded her hands.
So we should accept everything?
We should survive.
So we should just accept everything, even when it is wrong? Tunde stepped closer. You saw what happened yesterday. Lovett's voice softened slightly. That man didn't deserve that. Tunde sighed. Deserve or not, that's not the point here. Then what is the point? The point is survival. That evening, things began to feel off. As Lovett walked back to her lodge, she noticed conversation stopped when she passed. People stayed a second too long. A group of women whispered. As she walked by, she stopped, turned. The women immediately looked away. Lovett's chest tightened.
Looking at me like that?
What is going on? She muttered. When she reached her room, she found something strange. Her door slightly open. She was sure. She locked it. Slowly, she pushed it open. Everything looked normal, but something felt different. Wrong. She stepped inside carefully. Her back was on the bed. untouched. Then she saw it. A small object placed neatly on her pillow. It was a piece of rope tied into a loop. Lovett froze. Her heart began to pound. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every small sound made her sit up. Every movement outside made her hold her breath. Then, sometime in the middle of the night, she heard it. A soft knock. Tap, tap, tap. Lovett sat up slowly. Who is there? She whispered. No answer. The knock came again. Tap, tap. She stood up, walked closely to the door. Her hand trembled as she reached for the handle. She opened it. No one, just darkness and silence. But as she was about to close the door, she heard a voice right behind her. Leave
too late.
before it is too late. Lovett spun around. Nobody. Her breathing became fast, unsteady. Was she imagining things? Or was this place already closing in on her? The next morning, Lovett woke up to shouting outside. Villagers had gathered again. Her heart sank. No, she whispered. She stepped outside. Tunde grabbed her immediately. Don't go closer. But she could already see it. Another person in the center. The same silence. The same crowd. This time, the leader of the village stepped forward. He raised his hand and spoke loudly to everyone so everyone could hear. Let this be a warning. Lovett felt her stomach drop. This land has rules. He paused. And anyone who refuses to obey will not stay long. Then, slowly, he turned his head and looked directly at her. The moment the village leader looked at Lovett, she felt it. Not fear, not yet, but something deeper, like a silent mark had been placed on her. From that day, nothing felt normal again. Lovett noticed it first in small ways, too small for anyone else to care, but too clear for her to ignore. The same old man always sitting outside her lodge, a woman who fetched water at the exact time she stepped out, children who stopped playing whenever she walked past. At first, she tried to convince herself it's just my imagination, but it wasn't. One evening, she tasted it. She stepped out of her room, then suddenly turned back. The old woman across her road quickly looked away. Lovett's heart skipped. They are watching me. The next day at school, Lovett decided to observe instead of speak. She stood quietly at the back of another teacher's class. What she saw disturbed her. A student gave a wrong answer. The teacher didn't correct him. Instead, the entire class repeated the wrong answer together. Lovett frowned. After class, she pulled the teacher aside. Why did you let them say something that's clearly wrong? The teacher didn't even try to explain. He just said, that is what they were told. By who? The teacher looked at her like she had said something dangerous. Please, stop asking questions. Lovett shook her head. This is not education. This is control. The teacher leaned closer, his voice low, urgent. In this place, knowledge is not the priority. Order is. That evening, Tunde came to her room. He didn't sit. He didn't relax. He just stood there, tense.
You need to stop.
Stop what?
You need to stop. Lovett crossed her arms. Stop what?
What?
Everything. That's not an answer. Tunde ran his hand through his hair.
You're asking.
Do you think you are the first person to come here and feel like this? Lovett didn't respond. He continued. There was a core member last year, a guy. Lovett looked up. What happened to him? Tunde hesitated, then said carefully, he started small, just like you, asking questions, correcting things, and he didn't listen when they warned him. Novel's voice dropped. What happened to him? Tunde looked away. He didn't complete his service here. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Lovett felt her chest tighten. Did he leave? Tunde didn't answer. That silence said everything. Days passed, and Lovett began to understand something terrifying. There was a pattern, a system, not written, but followed. First, they observe you. Then, they warn you quietly. If you continue, they isolate you. And if you still refuse to stop, she didn't know the final step, but she could feel it, looming, waiting. It started slowly. At school, students stopped answering her questions. Some refused to look at her entirely. One girl she had encouraged earlier stopped coming to class. Lovett felt it. The distance, the rejection, even at the lodge. The woman who used to greet her stopped. The food seller ignored her. Conversations died when she approached. It was like the entire village had agreed on something without saying it out loud. One evening, as she returned from school, she found something again. This time, not on her pillow, but on her door. A symbol drawn with charcoal, rough, sharp, unfamiliar. Her heart quickened. What is this? Behind her, a small voice spoke. You should clean it. She turned. A little girl stood there, barefoot, watching her. What does it mean? Lovett asked. The girl hesitated, then said quietly,
It means you are being warned.
It means you are being warned. Lovett swallowed. And if I don't? The girl's expression changed. She looked afraid. Then it will change. Change to what? The girl shook her head. I can't say. Then she ran off. That night, Lovett sat alone in her room. The silence was unbearable. Her thoughts were loud. Too loud. Maybe I should stop. Maybe I should just keep quiet. Then another voice inside her answered, and become like them?
No, I didn't come here to be silent.
She stood up suddenly. No, her voice was firm now. I didn't come here to be silent. The next day, everything reached a breaking point. During class, a boy was accused of doing something wrong. He kept saying he didn't do it, but no one listened. The class repeated, he did it, he did it, he did it. Nove stepped forward. Stop. The room went silent. She looked at the boy. Did you do it? He shook his head. No, ma.
Then why are you all saying
Nove turned to the class. Then, why are you all saying he did? No one spoke. Her voice grew stronger.
This is wrong. You cannot punish someone without truth.
This is wrong.
This is
You
wrong.
cannot punish someone without truth.
Someone without
From the door, a voice responded.
In this place, truth is what we say it is.
In this place,
place.
truth is what we say it is.
Say it is.
Love turned. The village leader stood there. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Lovett looked at him. Her heart was pounding, but she didn't step back. That's not justice, she said. The entire class froze. The leader walked slowly into the room. You have been warned. Lovett held her ground. And I will say it again. This is wrong. Silence. Deep. Dangerous silence. The leader stepped in front of her, looked directly into her eyes, then said quietly,
Then you have chosen your path.